Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story of absolute extremes. Seriously, it's the wild journey of a guy named Victor Chun who literally went from a devastating rock bottom to massive, unbelievable success. We're going to break down exactly how he pulled it off, but more importantly, we're looking at the exact framework that finally snapped him out of a totally brutal downward spiral. So if you've ever felt like you're putting in all the work but just keep hitting a brick wall, this explainer is absolutely going to change how you look at your own setbacks. Okay, I want you to think about this number for a second. 7. And no, this isn't a lucky number situation. This represents the exact number of crushing consecutive business failures Victor endured before he finally found his breakthrough. I mean, think about it. Most people quit after one failure, right? Maybe 2 if they're stubborn. But Victor, he failed 7 times, and he lost absolutely everything he had in the process. Section 1. 7 failures and bankruptcy. What's really wild here is the sheer variety of his attempts. Starting fresh out of college at age 22, Victor was just desperate to build something. Get this sequence. He opens a mobile phone accessory store right before smartphones really took off. 8 months later, it completely folds and he loses 15 grand. Next up, he spends a whole year building an online tutoring service. The grand result of that, a whopping $280 in total revenue. Then comes a food delivery startup. Poof, gone, along with an $8,000 loss. Then a clothing boutique, because why not, right? Well, that burned $12,000. And finally, an event planning company, which was another 6 grand on the drain. He was basically just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck. The financial toll was massive. His savings were wiped out, credit cards maxed to the absolute limit. But honestly, the emotional toll was even heavier. He kind of became this cautionary tale to his friends and a massive source of worry for his family. And man, it all culminated right here. At 27, he launched his 6th business, a full-service digital marketing agency. He went all in. He took out loans, signed a commercial lease, hired employees. But within 6 months, every single client left. He couldn't make payroll. The landlord literally evicted him. So at 28 years old, Victor was forced to declare personal bankruptcy. He had to pack up and move back into his childhood bedroom. Imagine sitting there with 0 money, absolutely no prospects, and your confidence just completely shattered. But staring at a pile of job rejection letters, he made this quiet promise to himself. He was going to try just one more time. Section 2. Meeting the millionaire mentor. To fund that one more try, Victor actually swallowed his pride and took a job as a waiter at a super high-end restaurant. He's literally serving the exact kind of successful people he'd been so desperately trying to become. Well, one evening, a regular customer named Mr. Joe, who was the self-made manufacturing millionaire in his 60s, noticed Victor. He saw that Victor was actually paying attention, really listening and learning from the business conversations happening at his tables. When Victor finally worked up the courage to confess his 7 failures to him, Mr. Joe replied with something that completely shattered Victor's worldview. He said, "I failed 11 times before my first success. Lost my house, slept in my car, but on attempt number 12, something clicked." Just let that sink in. This highly successful guy sitting there in a $3,000 suit had failed even more times than Victor had. Section 3. The 3 rules of success. Mr. Joe actually invited Victor to his office at 6 a.m. the very next morning to teach him how to stop failing. He laid out 3 definitive rules. This is essentially an actionable blueprint that turns a string of brutal failures into an absolutely unbreakable foundation. We're going to look really closely at each of these right now because this is the exact playbook Victor used to launch his final, massively successful venture. All right, let's start with rule 1. Mr. Joe asked Victor to explain exactly why his previous businesses failed. And Victor just rattled off the usual excuses, right? No research, ran out of cash, didn't really understand the customer. Mr. Joe stopped him right there and said, "You just described the exact same mistake 7 times. He called it passion without preparation. Think of it like trying to build a house by just wildly throwing up walls because you're super excited, but you completely skip pouring the foundation. That house is going to collapse every single time. So the crucial takeaway here is rule 1, study before you start. Mr. Joe demanded that Victor spend 3 full months learning everything about a market and its competitors before launching anything. Not 3 days, 3 entire months, because excitement is not expertise. Moving on to rule 2. Any business worth building takes a bare minimum of 18 months to show real traction. Most people fail because they expect overnight success or at least success in 6 months. They run out of money or motivation right in the middle of the learning and suffering phase. Mr. Joe made Victor commit to 18 full months of showing up every single day, regardless of whether it actually looked like it was working or not. It completely reframes how we look at failure, doesn't it? Most businesses don't actually fail. The founders just throw in the towel during that suffering period. And that brings us to rule 3, master one specific thing. Remember Victor's bankrupt digital marketing agency? Well, it failed because he was trying to offer social media, SEO, web design, and email marketing all at the exact same time. He was essentially mediocre at everything. Mr. Joe told him to pick one thing and do it extraordinarily well, become so undeniably good that people literally cannot ignore you. So Victor finally locked in on his hyper-specific niche, LinkedIn lead generation exclusively for B2B tech companies. Nothing else, just that one thing. Section 4, the $10 million breakthrough. So, armed with these 3 new rules, Victor spent 3 straight months just studying. He dug into the LinkedIn algorithm, tech company pain points, and B2B sales cycles without making a single dime. He was just building the foundation for attempt number 8, which he called Tech Lead Connect. Starting out with no website, no office, literally just a laptop, let's see how that 18-month rule actually played out in reality. He made a bold offer, 20 qualified leads a month, or the clients didn't pay. By month 4, he had 1 client for $500 a month. Month 6 rolls around, he's got 2 clients making $1,000. But then, in month 7, disaster strikes. He lost a client and his revenue dipped right back down to $500. His dad actually begged him to stop, pointing out that this was looking exactly like his old patterns of failure. Naturally, all those old doubts crept right back into Victor's head. But he remembered Mr. Joe's timeline. Month 7 is still deep in the early struggle phase. He was actually right on track. It was supposed to be this hard, so he absolutely refused to quit. And thank goodness he didn't. By month 13, the momentum really started to shift. A medium-sized tech company hired him for $3,000 a month. By month 15, word of mouth and referrals bumped him up to $12,000 a month, and he hired his very first employee. And then, this is the crazy part, exactly 18 months after launching, which perfectly validates Mr. Joe's entire timeline, Victor landed a massive venture-backed startup client that paid him $10,000 a month. His total monthly revenue suddenly hit $28,000. He actually called Mr. Joe from the exact same childhood bedroom where he had declared bankruptcy in tears, realizing that the framework had actually worked. Once he had those proven results, the growth accelerated wildly. Fast forward just 5 years from that initial breakfast meeting with Mr. Joe, Tech Lead Connect hit an unbelievable $10 million in annual revenue. Victor, who is now 33 years old, has 60 employees and offices in 3 different cities. Oh, and yeah, he paid back every single penny of his debts. You know, now when Victor speaks at conferences, he always shares this really profound realization. Every successful business is built on a graveyard of failed attempts. He points out that people always think successful entrepreneurs are just the ones who never fail. But the reality, the truth is, they're usually the ones who fail the most, but they simply do not quit. Looking back, those 7 agonizing early failures weren't detours at all. They were just 7 incredibly expensive lessons. When he finally started business number 8, sure, he made new mistakes, but he didn't repeat the old ones. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. The difference between success and failure for Victor wasn't luck, and it wasn't some kind of raw innate talent. It was simply showing up one more time than he fell down, and finally applying a proven foundation, studying for 3 months, committing for 18 months, and mastering one single thing. If you're sitting on a string of failures right now, maybe you just haven't hit your attempt number 8 or 10 or 12 yet. The only permanent failure is stopping. So what about you? Will you show up one more time?